Welcome to the Functional Esthetician Podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Dench. Today we're talking about one of the most asked questions. Can stress affect my skin? Today we will cover the role stress plays on our body and skin, including hormones, gut health, and cortisol. Please enjoy. Today we're talking about a topic that everyone listening struggles with, stress. As I was doing research for today's episode, part of me feels like I'm not the person to be talking about stress because the amount of stress in my life right now is overwhelming at times. Yet the other part of me, the one in the middle of the storm, does feel qualified because I can relate to exactly how you feel. I know how much stress impacts my body, skin, and overall health. And like many of you listening, we hold stress in. We hide it from the world, put on a happy face, and suffer in silence. We do whatever it takes to hold it together in public, and the minute we're alone, we crumble. I hope today's episode gives you a new perspective on stress. Let's start out with the number one question I get asked. Does stress affect your skin? The answer is yes. And there's two reasons why. First, our skin is physically created to handle stress via our receptors. It can sense hot, cold, and pain and send signals to our brain to respond. Second, our skin has nerves throughout all the layers of the skin. Within these layers, stress hormones can accumulate and attacks our oil glands, collagen, and pigmentation cells. Stress prevents our skin cells from working properly and impairs our skin barrier. Here's what happens with the skin via the complex network of nerves. When our body becomes stressed, it triggers neuropeptides and neurotrophins that produce a substance called nerve growth factors. Nerve growth factors bind to receptors and trigger an inflammatory response. Once activated, you see negative changes to your skin. It shows up in the form of acne, premature aging, sensitive skin, melasma, and even hair loss. Stress impacts our wound response, so acne, psoriasis, eczema, and dermatitis flare-ups don't heal as quickly. You may also notice your skin feels oily and dry, plus it has a rough texture. This is called dehydrated skin, and we did talk about that in detail in our fall skincare episode. We also talked about transepidermal water loss, which measures the skin barrier integrity. To make it simple, transepidermal water loss is evaporation of water from the skin cells. Stress affects the function of the skin barrier and can break it down. Here's a little analogy to help you understand what's happening. Our skin barrier is like a brick wall. The cells are the bricks, and we have lipids that act as the mortar holding it all together. Imagine someone chipping away at your brick wall, creating holes in the bricks, and eventually destroying that brick wall. That's how stress works in the skin. It slowly breaks down the cells and the lipids, impairing the skin's ability to function. This allows for harmful substances to penetrate the skin barrier. It creates skin sensitivity and excessive dryness. Here are 3 things to notice in your skin due to stress. First, you apply moisturizer, only to feel dry an hour later. Second, you've developed sensitive skin, and no matter what skincare product you apply, you react. And third, running your hand on your face, your skin has this rough texture to it, and it feels oily and dry at the same time, which basically means your skin barrier is breaking down from the inside out. Next, I want to talk about stress and premature wrinkles. There are 3 ways stress speeds up the aging process. Starting with the sun, which is important because we need vitamin D. However, stress depletes our skin barrier, making us more susceptible to UV damage, which means our skin can't properly protect from the sun. And no amount of sunscreen is going to help. Next, cortisol, epinephrine, and norepinephrine increase DNA damage. Both DNA and UV damage break down collagen and elastin in the skin. And lastly, oxidative stress affects the mitochondria, which are the cell's energy source. Oxidative stress depletes the cells of energy, preventing them from functioning properly. When these three factors happen, aging seems to pop up overnight. The last skin condition that's not talked about enough is melasma. Melasma is a skin condition that pops up during pregnancy, perimenopause, or menopause, and it's usually triggered by a hormonal fluctuation. Melasma is more common in darker skin tones. If you're not familiar with this, melasma is dark patches that are clustered either on your cheeks, around your mouth, or on the forehead. Melasma is triggered by heat, so if you do excessive workouts, saunas, hot showers, or spend extra time in the sun, it's going to trigger your melasma to darken. Melasma is near and dear to my heart because I've been suffering with it since my early 40s. And about 2 years ago, my melasma got really bad. This was around the time I had hired a team, was training them. I was still working full-time in the treatment room, and I brought in a medical director because I wanted to expand my company by offering more advanced anti-aging treatments. I had my estheticians working on my skin to help lighten up my melasma, but there was very little that helped. I even did an aggressive peel/microneedling treatment to pull up some of the pigment. And that did work at first, but eventually my melasma came back, and it was worse than ever before. I have been under an incredible amount of stress, so it makes sense that my melasma got darker. And to be honest, this past summer my schedule got so overwhelming that I haven't done a single skin treatment since May. And this part's going to shock you. I learned from multiple sources that wearing sunscreen traps the heat in your skin and worsens melasma. Now, when you have a skin condition and it's making you self-conscious, you will try absolutely everything and anything to fix your skin. And I thought to myself, what do I have to lose? And believe it or not wearing sunscreen, my melasma lightened up. Now, I have never been one to just lay in the sun. If I go outside, I wear a hat, and usually I'm only in the sun for extended periods of time when I'm out with my kids in the summer or taking walks. I believe that stopping doing skin brightening treatments and not wearing sunscreen has contributed to lightening up my melasma. This summer, I did add in some supplements to help with my cortisol because I did some functional testing and noticed that my cortisol levels are off. Accidentally, I have been able to heal my skin from a condition that the spa and medical industry find extremely difficult to treat. And I truly believe there is a connection between melasma and cortisol. And I will talk about this in a future episode. Now let's shift gears to the body and talk about the gut, skin, brain axis. A few weeks ago, we talked about the gut-skin axis. Today, we're going to add in the brain and nervous system. The gut and brain connection has been studied extensively, and recently the skin was added in because our skin is a detox organ, and everything going on inside the body shows up in the skin. Both the gut and the skin have similar microbiomes and bacterial makeup, and this is why they go hand in hand. Most of our damage starts in the gut and shows up in the skin. Last week we talked about harmful foods you should avoid, such as gluten because of glyphosate and how it negatively impacts the gut. I found in PubMed a study that talks about glyphosate's effect on both the gut and the brain. Glyphosate, which was designed to combat threatening weeds competing for nutrients and resources for crop production, induces alterations of the gut microbiome diversity, associating with neuropsychiatric conditions like anxiety, depression, autism, and important maladies like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. I'm not sure about you, but learning about this information is infuriating. All these mental health problems can be avoided if we just stop putting toxins in our food. And if you don't study nutrition, or learn about the harmful toxins in our air, food environment, how are you supposed to know that this stuff is damaging your body? All the information out there tells us to eat whole grains and minimize our amounts of sugars, bread, and pasta. And it tells us to add in healthy things like Greek yogurt, protein bars, and smoothies. Everything to make you sicker and keep you suffering. The good news is, when you know better, you do better. And with this information, you can eliminate toxins from your food so you can restore health to your gut. And I can help do some functional testing, which will pinpoint your source of inflammation. This will help you restore healthy bacteria, map out a healthy eating plan, and teach you how to start paying attention to your own body so you can be your own health advocate. Let's shift gears and talk about stress. Stress is the body's natural and physical response to change. Our bodies are designed to handle stress. When stress becomes chronic, that's when health problems happen. To understand how stress affects the body and our gut, I want to talk about how our body naturally responds to stress. Back in the caveman days, if they were running from an animal, adrenaline would kick in so they could run to safety. The body slows down all your organs so you can run for your life. The last thing you would be thinking about if you're running from your life is to stop and use the bathroom. Your body does that intentionally. It's a protective mechanism. Today, most of us are under chronic stress, which means your body acts like it's running for its life. And this is a contributing cause to IBS and gut problems. Your body slows down digestion to protect itself, but it's doing this every day. Here's how a slow digestion impacts your health. 1, it affects your hormone levels. Our hormones are being produced every single day, no matter what stage of life you're in. They can't keep circulating your body, so they get removed via the intestines and kidneys. 2, constipation prevents you from excreting toxins, waste, and hormones. And for women, not going to the bathroom every day means your body's holding estrogen in. And this excess of estrogen can cause hormonal imbalances in your body. And this is why when we do functional testing for hormones, we look at cortisol and adrenals. 3rd, if you're eating an inflammatory diet, this creates leaky gut and creates more inflammation in your body. 4th, this depletes your immune system, making you more susceptible to colds and viruses because your body can't fight off infection. I could talk about this topic all day because stress affects every single organ in our body. And it's the source of most health and mental health problems. It's no wonder that so many of us are suffering. Stress isn't always bad. Species need stress to survive because we live in an ever-changing environment. And we are wired to respond to daily stressors. When a stressful situation happens, it activates the HPA axis, also known as the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. When the HPA axis gets activated, our body taps into our energy reserves, adrenaline kicks in, and we run for our lives. Chronic stress continuously activates the HPA axis, which means our body constantly thinks it's under attack. Chronic stress has been studied on its effects of health problems. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone produced by the adrenal glands. In a healthy person, cortisol naturally rises and falls throughout the day. Cortisol tends to be higher in the morning and tends to drop it later in the day, allowing for melatonin to take over so we can rest. Chronic stress creates a constant release of cortisol. This affects our melatonin production and our endocrine system. Along with oxidative stress, this creates health problems, mental health problems, and even chronic pain. I know I'm making cortisol out to be the bad guy, but work with me here. There are plenty of benefits to cortisol too. We need cortisol to live, otherwise we would die. Cortisol is a crucial hormone our body needs. Cortisol is recognized for our body's ability to kick into overdrive when we need it. Here are some incredible benefits of cortisol. It increases glucose metabolism. It controls our heart rate and blood pressure. It reduces inflammation. It keeps our immune system healthy and able to fight off infection. In a healthy individual, cortisol is very beneficial. Another condition caused by chronic stress is adrenal fatigue, which is not medically recognized as a condition. In the functional medicine world, we describe adrenal fatigue as symptoms caused from high levels of stress. Chronic stress targets our adrenal glands, causing them to be fatigued. This produces either too much or not enough cortisol. Here are 4 signs of adrenal fatigue. 1, feeling tired and wired at the same time. This is someone who wakes up exhausted and feels like they need caffeine to get them through the day. Yet when it's time to go to bed, suddenly you get a second wind and feel wired when you know you should be sleeping. Or you wake up frequently throughout the night. 2 is weight gain. During periods of increased stress or lack of sleep, your cortisol levels rise and remain high. Increased cortisol levels cause weight gain in your belly. 3, trouble sleeping. Normal cortisol ranges tend to fall later in the day, but chronic stress can keep your cortisol levels high at night. If you wake up in the middle of the night, have trouble falling or staying asleep, your cortisol levels may be too high overnight. 4 is lowered immunity. Increased cortisol overworks your immune system. This makes you prone to illness, colds, viruses, and cold sores. I'm not here to make stress out to be the bad guy, but I do want to talk about the effect stress has on our life, especially for women, and how it impacts your hormones. Let's paint a picture of a typical day as a mom. You get up, let's say around 6 a.m. You get the kids up, make breakfast, hurry them out the door. The house is a mess, so you have to quickly clean up, try to squeeze in a workout, shower, and get to work by 9 a.m. You work all day, and you're bombarded by emails and meetings on top of your own workload. You get out of work late, run to the grocery store on your way home, frantically trying to figure out what to make everybody. You make dinner, you clean up, you help with homework, and you mom bust the kids around. By the time your day is done, the kids are in bed, and you finally put your head on the pillow, it's 11 p.m. I want to pause right there because your entire day is full of stress. You are non-stop. And it's like this for every mom. Your brain doesn't know that we're living in modern times. Your brain is responding like you're running for your life. There's no break, no downtime, no time for you. And when women run ourselves ragged like this for weeks, months, years, it begins to take a toll on our life. Now, many women at this point start to blame it on perimenopause and menopause symptoms. For many women, stress mimics the same symptoms as perimenopause and menopause. And this is why you'll go to your doctor, they'll run a hormone test on you, and they'll tell you your hormones are fine. They send you home and tell you to come back when things get worse. So you put your head down, head home, and think to yourself, I'll just deal with it. And you suffer in silence because you don't know what else to do. And this is where I want to give you some hope. I want to introduce you to the idea of functional testing for stress because you deserve to know what's going on with your body. Not only do we do extensive functional testing on your hormones and check how your body's metabolizing your hormones, which is even more important than the actual hormone itself. We extensively test your cortisol levels and your adrenals, and we look for patterns that fluctuate throughout the day. This gives us a full picture of what your stress levels look like and how it's impacting your health and your body. We can see exactly where your cortisol rises and falls throughout the day and possibly overnight. And it even shows us how your body's metabolizing cortisol. Once we have a full picture, we can help you come up with some lifestyle changes that can include mindfulness, nutrition, and supplementation when necessary. Like most moms, We can't change the daily stressors in our lives, but we can make small lifestyle shifts to help ease the stress load. Pause and take some time to de-stress because you don't deserve to feel alone in this. Your family needs you to be the best version of you. And if you don't know how to manage your stress, you can't be your best version of yourself. Now let's get to the fun stuff. How to manage your stress levels. I'm going to cover 2 ways, nutrition and mindfulness. Supporting your body with the right nutrition will help you manage cortisol levels. Start by eliminating anything inflammatory, such as sugary, processed, or prepackaged foods. Many of these foods contain additives and chemicals. This affects your endocrine system, can worsen your adrenals, and how your body responds to stress. Limit caffeine intake, especially later in the day. Caffeine can elevate your cortisol levels. Another big one to avoid is alcohol. Alcohol disrupts your sleep cycle, which increases cortisol. Plus, alcohol is loaded with sugar. Now I'd like to talk about mindfulness and how you can incorporate some de-stress techniques. Here are some practices you can easily incorporate. Meditation, breath work, journaling, yoga, and exercise. Exercise can be short, think HIIT workouts, or longer, like running, walking, or strength training. Bonus if you can get outside and walk every day. And if you don't have time to get to a gym or take a class, spend 5 to 10 minutes at home stretching. Movement increases blood flow and balances cortisol. Learn how to breathe. There are plenty of resources on YouTube about breath work. Incorporate deep breathing into your day by pausing to take 5 deep breaths when you lie down in bed at night, or when you're waiting to pick your kids up from school or practice. If you need a mental break from work, stand up and take 5 deep breaths before getting back to your work. This little mini break calms your mind and helps you recharge. Doing regular breath work balances cortisol levels. Just remember, every single one of us is stressed, and we are all trying to hold it together in public. I might sound calm on this microphone, but that doesn't mean I'm a hot mess and falling apart behind the scenes. The world we live in is a stressful place, and all you can do is your best to manage your stress levels. And just know you're not alone. I'd like to end today's episode with one small step you can start taking today. Assess your body and figure out what your biggest stressor is. Now, I'd love to tell you to just eliminate it, but you and I both know that the likelihood of that is pretty slim. There are things in life we just cannot change. Acknowledge that. The first step to de-stressing is to know what's causing your stress. The second step is to find one thing you can do every day to help you manage your stress. Play around with the different mindfulness techniques I mentioned in this episode. Which one of these fits best in your lifestyle? Just one quick stretch or 5 deep breaths can make a world of difference in how you feel. You deserve to feel good on the inside. All you have to do is start. Thank you for listening. Today we talked about stress and how it impacts your skin, your body, and simple steps you can take to ease your stress load. Please head over to our social media page and connect with me for guidance or to do some functional testing. Be sure to tune in to episode 10, How to Improve Your Skin Barrier. And always remember, you deserve to love the skin you're in.